to step up to the plate is learn. Learn. Have a healthy, holy dissatisfaction with the way things are. Now you notice the adjectives I use. Because sometimes dissatisfaction is not always expressed in a holy way. But God can help us to have a holy dissatisfaction when things are not good and they are ineffective. For God has a preferred future for our ministry. That's predicated on our believing that we are where we are because God has put us there. When I was elected NMI director now, 23 years ago, I received a phone call from Louise Chapman, as I've said earlier, a great mentor in my life. She said, "Dearie," she always used that word, "Dearie, you are where you are because God has put you there. God has put you there. You hold office under God." We believe that. So, we stand on that. Then that means that I'm going to take every step that God directs. Learn. First of all, learn yourself. Well, that's the greatest assignment, isn't it? Know yourself, your temperament, your strengths, your weaknesses. And if we dare, survey others for additional insight about ourselves. Better feel pretty secure when you do that. I used to have an office team retreat every year with the people who worked in the general NMI office. We'd always focus on leadership development. One year, we focused on identifying our strengths and our weaknesses. Some of you have probably done that. And there's a little individual inventory that you take, and it translates into developing a profile so that you can identify your strengths and your weaknesses. Some pastors do this with their church boards and the leadership of their church. And that's a very good thing to do so that it maximizes their strength. Learning how to lead. People aren't born knowing how to lead. A tourist was in a famous city and asked, "Are there any famous leaders born here?" And someone said, "No, just babies are born here." And as leaders, we are shaped by our God-given strengths and talents and skills. We're shaped by our temperament and our personality types. And that's important for us to know. You know, you wouldn't take in your places of ministry in a local church, you wouldn't take a sanguine personality and make that person the treasurer of the church. If you do, you won't ever get a treasurer's report. Why? Because they're out partying. You know, that's the person to have as the receptionist at a party. Because they're the sanguine person. You know, so you put people where their strengths are at work. Discipline. We're shaped by discipline. That means doing the right things. We're also shaped by accountability. By the way, accountability is still a good word. Accountability is a vow to commitment, and we are accountable to God, to others, and to ourselves for the mission that God has entrusted to us. Leaders benefit by learning organizational skills and management skills. Christopher Robin in Winnie the Pooh gives a definition of organization. I like it. Organizing is what you do before you do something, so that when you do it, it's not all mixed up. I like that. Organizing is what you do before you do something, so that when you do it, it's not all mixed up. That means we pay attention to details. Now, I am a very organized person. I am very structured. Every day of my life, I have a to-do list. And I've trained our two sons the same way. And my husband's pretty good with a to-do list. His has to get pretty long, so he's afraid he's going to forget it before he writes it down. But my sons, they tell me, and their wives, every day they get up, they have a to-do list. and they follow that to-do list. I am so proud of them because men aren't always given to that. And I work the same way. I keep a to-do list. I'm always making a note of this and that and the other because I want to be organized as well. When you're organized, you get so much more done. People have asked me across the years, how did you get done all this stuff that you do? Well, I think I do because I do it in an organized way. If I just went at it slap happy, I'd never get half of it done. But I just like organization. It's part of who I am. That means we have to be teachable. And I pray we want to be teachable. You know, unteachable people have a difficult time with change. The more teachable people are, the more they can adapt to change. I have never had a lot of struggle with changing this and that and the other. And I'm so glad, especially from the generation I'm from. But I think it's because I'm teachable. I want to not look at this is the way we've always done it, but look at what works the best. Learn what really works. And by God's help, discard that which doesn't work anymore and be brave enough and wise enough to walk away from that which doesn't work anymore. And I'm not talking about, as you know, compromising message and mission, but those methods that don't work anymore, be teachable and learn new methods that can help us to be more effective in mission. Then we see the change that needs to be made and ask God to give us the courage and the wisdom to make the change. By the way, research shows if you change more than 10% at a time, you're probably going to have disaster. So change has to be incremental. Get into the habit of learning. I always have note paper in my purse. If I have pockets, I have paper in my pockets. Writing down thoughts, ideas. Habit of looking for things to learn. So, be a lifelong learner. Don't you wish you knew 10 years ago what you know now? And I pray 10 years from now, you'll say, I wish I knew then what I know now. That's a good thing. Keep learning. Learn. Learn from your mentors. When in my life, I was a district NMI president for 15 years before I became general director. I used to literally sit at the feet of people like Louise Chapman and Mary Scott because I learned so much from those women. They were my mentors. I was never afraid or never sought to devalue my predecessors. I learned from them. They helped me.